You're listening to Mechanic.com.au podcast, Australia's #1 podcast for automotive service and repair professionals. This week's podcast is proudly brought to you by Gates, driven by possibilities. I'm your host, Jason O, and today we're joined by Drew Conkling, the Global Product Line Manager, Automotive Section for the Gates Corporation. And I'll tell you what, Drew, it's a very welcome afternoon to you. Congratulations. Thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely, Jason. Thank you for having us on. We are very happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Now, you're calling us from the other side of the planet. Whereabouts are you calling us from?
I am actually located in Denver, Colorado, in the USA. Denver, Colorado is the global headquarters for Gates, and that's where I work and reside.
Oh, fantastic. Now, you're the Global Product Line Manager. Tell us a little bit about that role. What does that involve?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gates is a global company. Again, we're founded in 1911 right in Denver, Colorado, and we still maintain our global headquarters here today. So a very rich history. And as in my current role, which as you mentioned is the Global Product Line Manager specifically for our automotive aftermarket business, I kind of help look after our automotive aftermarket businesses around the world. Specifically around the product and kind of marketing side of things.
Outstanding. And are you a car guy yourself?
I am, absolutely. So love cars. I in my previous life before Gates, I was actually a factory certified technician for Ferrari and Maserati.
Oh, here we go. Now you're showing off, Drew. I like
right?
that. Keep it going, mate. Keep it going. And you got anything in the garage you're working on yourself?
Unfortunately, nothing too exciting right now. I have 2 kids under the age of 4, so they unfortunately take pretty much all of my discretionary income these days.
Wow. Well, I've got a 1982 Jeep Grand Wagoneer down under, very rare one. I might
Awesome.
have to put it on a boat and fly it back over to you for family man duties. How does that sound?
Be more than happy to.
Well, listen, welcome to the show wherever you may be listening today. Today's topic is helping workshops boost their bottom line with Gates products. So let's go. Let's get into it. Okay, Drew, tell me about the recent updates you've made with your online catalog.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So we first launched our kind of new and updated online catalog at the AAA show in 2017. And, the website obviously has the built-in catalog feature, the OE interchange feature, the competitive interchange search feature. But in addition to that, we really built it kind of as a one-stop shop for anyone that wants to learn about Gates aftermarket products. So it's full of all sorts of rich content around product attributes, videos, technical service bulletins, tech tips, installation instructions. It's really kind of everything that anyone would ever need to know about our products and how they fit vehicles. And then we took a really kind of user experience centric focus with it. And kind of the motto or the goal of it was basically that we wanted anyone to be able to find what they were looking for in 3 clicks or less.
Yeah, that's a cool way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was really the premise that it was built on. And then we've continued to kind of expand the functionalities of it. And most recently, we are proud to kind of introduce kind of 3 new updates to it. And the first one is what we call our kit finder. And so what that means is if you're looking for a timing component kit, a accessory belt drive kit, any sort of kit for your vehicle, it can be kind of hard sometimes to know which kit is the right one for your vehicle, right? Sometimes there's a couple options on an individual vehicle, etc. So what we actually did here is you can search by any OEM part number. So let's say you have the OEM part number of the belt. So you would search for that OEM part number. It would then list all the applicable kits or all the kits that belt's in. And then you can just keep searching more and more OEM part numbers. And it actually automatically narrows in on the exact kit that you need. So let's say that you have the OEM belt part number and the OEM tensioner part number. You would put those in, and most likely you're going to get only one kit after that, and it's going to be the exact right one for your vehicle.
Yeah, that's the way to go. And it's just an efficient way of doing things, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's, again, the idea is to get the user the information they need as quick as possible and obviously as accurately as possible.
Let's talk about the B System Smart campaign. That's an important one. How's that gone, and how's the rollout been for that?
It's been very positive and very good. It's kind of a dual-pronged campaign, so to speak. And what I mean by that is obviously B System Smart is somewhat self-explanatory. It's really focusing on the systems of the vehicle. But then along with that, it comes with a very strong and easy to remember preventative maintenance kind of
Yeah.
guideline, and that's I100R150. And so what that stands for is that we recommend inspecting all the vehicle system components at 100,000 kilometers and
Right.
replace them at 150,000 kilometers or as recommended by the vehicle manufacturer.
Well, everything, on an engine essentially is still connected primarily by belts and chains and so forth and systems like that. And so keeping that area of the car in tip-top shape, or the vehicle in tip-top shape, it has to be a priority, for vehicle maintenance.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's all about performing the correct repair and the complete repair to fully restore the system and really the vehicle back to kind of OEM specifications.
Yeah.
With a lot of components like tensioners and pulleys, oftentimes a lot of people still view those as kind of hard parts that don't necessarily wear or fail for the most part.
Yes.
But they have bearings, they have grease, they have moving parts in there that do wear over time. And, as a tier one manufacturer and tier one supplier of all these components, we actually build them to have the same lifespan. So again, this message is really about thinking more than just individual components and really thinking about an entire system, and then kind of layering that replacement interval message on top of it to remind people kind of when these products are ending the near of their life, so
Yeah.
that they can actually do the preventative maintenance and prevent costly or dangerous vehicle breakdowns.
It seems to be a common theme. We've talked to quite a few different brands in our podcast series, and it seems that systems seem to be the focus now rather than individual components, and it seems to be the best preventative maintenance routine to go. How did you guys come up with this campaign, and what does it mean for workshops to go in this direction?
Sure, absolutely. So interestingly enough, we actually surveyed over 100,000 car owners, actual vehicle households.
You didn't do that on your own, did you? You didn't speak to
No. I've been a very busy man for the last couple of years. No, thankfully we had lots of people to help us administer the survey. So basically taking all of that data and then kind of analyzing it, we saw some really interesting trends. And most of those trends were around the replacement interval. And
Yep.
so what we saw is really across all product lines, across all vehicle systems, you start to see kind of a slight uptick in replacements and failures right around that 100,000 kilometer threshold. And then we see a really big spike at 150,000 kilometers. So again, just trying to kind of come up with a simple message to help guide people. That's where we really narrowed in on that kind of I100, R150, very simple message. And, what it means for workshops is really, again, obviously to inspect everything at 100,000 kilometers and recommend replacement by 150,000, or as advised by the vehicle manufacturer, of course. But
Yeah.
we really just wanted to create an easy message and keep it kind of front of mind so that workshops can have the peace of mind of knowing that they've correctly repaired a vehicle and they didn't just replace the belt and then that vehicle is going to come back, a week, a month, 6 months later because the tensioner was worn and they didn't even realize it or necessarily think to replace it.
Well, flowing on from that, Gates have continued to expand its passenger vehicle line and the serpentine kits as well as launch kits for the heavy-duty market. Tell us about those kits. Why have you guys introduced them? Is it because of the service intervals?
So absolutely, it definitely plays into it. Kits in general, regardless of what kind, whether it's serpentine, heavy-duty passenger car, timing kits, they obviously tie into the B System Smart message very strongly, right? If we're
Yeah.
recommending the system service, then it only makes sense for us to offer kind of a product line that really fits into that message and provides the workshop and the mechanic with the parts and tools that they need to correctly do it.
Of course.
So it's, as you mentioned, we've had a line of passenger car serpentine kits for several years now, and we're continuing to add new coverage and add new part numbers for those. But kind of the big thing that we really wanted to touch on is we're really happy to now introduce heavy duty specific serpentine kits.
Yeah.
And obviously on the heavy duty market, that's a very big preventative maintenance market. Obviously, downtime and vehicle breakdowns are very costly. So again, we really wanted to offer kind of a single solution and overall solution so workshops and technicians can perform a complete repair on those vehicles.
Here in Australia, we've had the 100,000 K desensitization, as I like to call it, for decades now. Vehicle owners know that at 100,000 Ks, it's that point in time where there's going to be a lot of work done on cars, preventative maintenance. So you're really tapping into the work that's been done and laid prior with the generations of car owners by now bringing these kits to the fray and saying, well, hey, now's the time to replace it. Don't risk destroying the engine and things letting go. Now's the time to do it. It's a very smart way of doing it, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes some people can view it as, well, we're just trying to upsell the consumer or
Mm.
sell more products. But really, at the end of the day, obviously, workshops, by selling a kit, there is a little bit more money to be made there. But really, what we're offering here is, we're going to reduce warranties, we're going to reduce vehicle comebacks, and
Yeah.
you're going to have the peace of mind knowing that that vehicle is restored 100% and it's been correctly repaired. And then the 100,000 mile threshold is, as you mentioned, just a perfect time to complete it all.
Absolutely. Well, these kits are obviously going to help workshops and technicians moving forward, and it's going to provide obviously a lot better profitability as well because of the customer service and the repeat business. Do you see any changes in the way these kits are maybe marketed to the end client? Is there any tips and tricks you can give us today?
Yeah, so kind of one of the biggest things that we've done is really try to focus on educating the car consumer, or I'm sorry, the car owner, the actual repair consumer, on the importance of the system message and performing the entire repair. Going back to my previous point, obviously sometimes car owners can be a little hesitant to be upsold on additional car repair, especially if something's not broken. So we've really tried to kind of focus more on the consumer education piece, and so we've done some of that with some flyers. We have a public
Yep.
facing website, gatesaustralia.com.au/system smart. And so kind of this education campaign to really try and get to the car owner and to ultimately help the workshop sell this complete repair to the car owner so that, again, everyone is happy with the repair. Customer satisfaction, obviously goes through the roof. Warranties are decreased. So that's really our focus with this message in particular.
When you pull out of a dealership after you've had a vehicle serviced, we were talking to one of the other brands and how customer service is rated on what a customer can touch, feel, and hear. And the one thing that they can hear is they can hear a belt that squeaks. And, you can be 3 turns away from the dealership and you hear the air conditioner belt squeak and you go, they didn't check it. And that's probably a great opportunity for some of the workshops to focus on that end user satisfaction with things like gates, yeah?
Absolutely. We've done, obviously, belt squeal and belt noise is something we're very familiar with. And, we obviously have done countless testing both in laboratories and in real world situations. And actually, almost 9 times out of 10, a belt noise or a noise from the belt is actually not caused by the belt. It's usually caused by either misalignment in the system, an incorrect belt length, or improper tension in the system, which is usually caused by a excessively worn tensioner. So absolutely, that's perfectly ties into all of that.
Well, let's talk about new products and new technology that you guys are bringing to the market. Have you got any brand new stuff hot off the shelf? You are the global product line manager. Have you got any new bits and pieces coming our way?
Absolutely. So, we're always looking to launch new and innovative products to solve customer problems. A lot of people think of Gates as just kind of a belts and hose company, but our product portfolio expands far beyond that. We've got everything from, mechanical and electric water pumps to variable valve timing solenoids, which we'll be releasing later this year. So
Wow,
much more to
okay.
come on that.
Yeah.
Even recreational vehicle belts, for ATVs or UTVs.
Okay.
We have belts for all those applications. But then one of the things that we're most excited about, especially this year, is really the expansion we've done around our coolant hose line, but specifically around modular or what we call branched coolant hoses. And so
Rightio.
when you think about cooling system technology in vehicles, there's really been an evolution. For since the beginning of water cooled engines, coolant hoses have generally just been like a simple curved rubber hose, right?
Yep.
We've all seen various designs or, S's, 180s, that kind of stuff, but it's been a pretty simple design for the most part. And so as vehicles become more complex, as cooling requirements in vehicles become more
intricate, I suppose.
yeah, and important, absolutely. What we're seeing is the actual vehicle manufacturers are speccing out these complex, really modular assemblies, and they can have multiple individual rubber hoses. They can have many plastic components like plastic tees or quick disconnect,
Yes.
or flow restrictors, sensors, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's really created a really good opportunity. And so what we actually did last year is we went out and purchased a tier 1 supplier of these complex modular hoses. And what that did is really kind of vastly increase our
Yeah.
capabilities around coolant hoses. And so as a result, we're thrilled to kind of bring to the market this year a full line of obviously the simple curved coolant hose, but then also the complex modular assemblies that really used to be kind of dealer only items for the most part.
Well, that seems to be the new cool at the moment, is orientating away from the OEM manufacturer and finding a suitable, cost-effective aftermarket replacement opportunity. And as you know, in a big brown land like Australia and a beautiful country like, the United States, you cover a lot of distance, and the climate change and the wear on items like hoses and so forth is just immense. We don't really take it into consideration, do we?
No, it's a very good point. And what's awesome about these new style of hoses for workshops and all of us and kind of the value chain here is, when you think about a simple curved rubber hose, so all of the heat cycles of the engine of getting hot, cooling down, the dust of driving through the desert, all the all the vibrations from the engine, the hose
Yeah.
for the most part can kind of handle a lot of that. We have built a very good hose that really handles a lot of that stuff. But when you introduce plastic into the mix, obviously plastic after several heat cycles it gets brittle. It's not as
Yeah.
flexible as rubber, so the dust gets in there. And then from all the engine vibrations, these things fail a lot more often. So it really creates a really great replacement opportunity for workshops moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, look, thanks very much for coming on the show today and chatting to us, Drew. I hope you've enjoyed your time talking to us on the other side of the planet.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Well, if any of our listeners have any follow-up questions about anything we've discussed here today, they can go ahead and reach out to Gates via the Mechanic.com.au community. And now, if you're not already a member of Mechanic.com.au, join the thousands of other mechanics around Australia who are earning more, learning more, and networking more at Mechanic.com.au, the online home of Australia's mechanics, by creating a free account today. Thanks for tuning into the Mechanic.com.au podcast, Australia's #1 podcast for automotive service and repair professionals. If you want to unlock a whole host of trade-only resources available, including our private community, competitions, educational content, job opportunities, training, troubleshooting, and much, much more, go ahead and create a free account now at Mechanic.com.au. Thanks for listening. Keep the belts rolling wherever you are, and we'll see you for the next podcast coming very soon.